Hello. Well, I kind of wanted to do something that kind of ties into the last video I made, about talking about Rushmore. And I wanted to, have been trying here and there, and sometimes I succeed. But, I want to try to make stuff, make videos where I'm, you know, it's a bit shorter, and then me just going on and on. Because sometimes those videos where I are like over 15 minutes, like between 15 to 20 minutes or longer, I kind of just go on and on, and that does happen, obviously. But do my best to be talking about the actual um, topic at hand and not getting too distracted. And this was like about double the um, me talking about the Royal Tenenbaums was a bit longer in that I spoke double the length. And reason I think, but because of that, is that I've watched this more. Um, I mean, I do enjoy this film quite a bit, but I don't know. When thinking about it after it was done, I made the video and I had to upload it and everything. I kind of thought, there's some things like the a character Magnus Buchanan, played by Stephen McCall, who's basically like a bully in the film. And we see him. He has like this cast on him, and throughout like the film, and he also has like this knife. He's like either like whittling in something, like he's either in a tree or he's somewhere like out in like a courtyard of sorts, and that's where we really see him for the most part. And it's quite interesting how that's the case. And he also has like an ear that's kind of like gone for the most part. But yeah, that's something where I'm like, I could have talked a bit about that and how he's like a bully. Also saying things like, oh, had sex here, there, and whatever. And, oh, so and so said, had, he says to um, uh, Dirk, Mason Gamble's character, that, Max said, he Bomb gave him a hand job and whatever. And yeah, just stuff like that. He's just a bully. He's also just trying to uh, stir things and everything, just to get people against each other, just to fight and whatever. Like it's just amusing to him. And of course, I mean, I enjoy this film quite a bit. Um, but Rushmore is also a very good film. Again, the first film Bill Murray ever made with uh, Wes Anderson, and he essentially has basically been in everything that he's done since. Exception being Asteroid City. Got sick and wasn't able to, but got better. He went to where they were shooting the film, but by that point he didn't have his part anymore. But Wes Anderson decided he's gonna create a character just for him, and then had Jason Schwartzman um, come in and interact with him, and it was like viewed like as a trailer of sorts, but he's playing a character. But then it's like the missing. It was like the missing Bill Murray scene is how it was phrased. But I've also heard and read like this was like a trailer of sorts to promote the movie. Bill Murray isn't in it, but this is his scene basically, and kind of I guess passing it off as a trailer or something. But I have not seen Asteroid City, but I probably will at some point. I'm sure it will be in the Criterion collection. Everything that Wes Anderson makes seems to end up in there at some point. Sometimes it takes some years, but eventually it gets there. Um, yeah, this came out in 2011. This 2012 in the Criterion collection. Um, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video. Not too long, but kind of I guess showing the ups and downs of trying to make videos that are a bit smaller and condensed a bit, but also trying to be as thorough with what you want to talk about overall. But sometimes when you try to make things under a certain length of time, you also don't talk about everything. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes people don't watch the whole thing, and you kind of want people to, so you want to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. But also, you might want to talk about various aspects about a movie. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes perhaps not. Just depends, I guess, on what you're talking about and the movie and everything. So, yeah, kind of has its ups and downs, but you know, I try to be as thorough as I can be, but also, knowing that many people who do watch my stuff, they don't always see some of these films, and so I don't want to necessarily spoil a movie. But something like say Star Wars, people have watched Star Wars, or at the very least the original trilogy, because people have watched those three for sure. Whether they've watched anything after is another story. So in instances like that, I don't really worry too much about spoiling a film. Depending on how huge and popular they are. Um, but then again, some classics like Casablanca, for instance, there are many people who have never watched that movie, and so I was like, if you've never watched it, I don't want to just up and spoil it because, whoops. But it's one of those things like it's a classic, so it's been around for decades. So I can definitely spoil the film and talk about it. But on the other hand, like if somebody comes and watches that video and is curious about what one thinks about it, because they hear all this praise, like is it actually good? Is it not? But then if you at some point I just spoil it, and I don't always say I'm gonna spoilers ahead, so I don't always do that. So that's in a way that's kind of a my bad, but I think in some cases like I like this movie is so well regarded and beloved and talked about that I sometimes don't necessarily think about something like that, like spoilers. I just keep talking, and if I happen to say something that's very crucial for the end, which would be considered a spoiler, it doesn't really dawn on me until later on, like after the fact. Like once I'm done with the video, then I spoil that movie. Whoops. Like for anybody who hasn't watched, like now the overall gist of the whole thing. But even then, I have read where even if you know how it all ends and the conclusion, if you don't know all of the details, like it was maybe sort of sporadic here there, you might not know exactly how everything leads up to the end. And so the movie is still a big surprise. Is yeah, I know how it ends basically, but I don't know how everything really comes together. Like, and even then, perhaps somebody verbalizing the ending, you might visualize one thing in your mind, but then once you see it, it's like, well, that's actually kind of a bit different from what I thought. So that's interesting. But yeah, I kind of wanted to make this video and just say I want to try to make videos of a certain length that isn't too long, but I also don't want them to be really short. And I just kind of thought, could have talked about Rushmore for a bit more, talked about certain characters, um, like the bully character, but I didn't, you know. Also, there's a thing like, you calling him, he's calling him like, he's Irish, like, nice, Scotland, like, whatever. Like, they're the same region, whatever. Just, that was like the sentiment, which was quite funny, honestly. It's a bit funny in that regard. So, yeah. That's all I really have to say. Hope all of you have had a great weekend. You know, I saw a new film, which if you saw my community post, you probably saw that. Saw The Surfer. So this Friday, I will be talking about that. I actually just finished a video about it. So in the near future, being Friday, you will see it. And if you want. And yeah. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. I've enjoyed my weekend. It's also Star Wars Day. So happy Star Wars Day. Also Audrey Hepburn's birthday. She would have been 96 today. So yeah. Hope all of you are doing well. Please have a great week. And I'll see you all next time. Take care and goodbye.